Good morning and happy Friday. Ultimate Coach, Facebook group family. I just want to say I don't go on Facebook and I don't post on Facebook except in this group. I haven't been on Facebook for probably 10 years, maybe more, I don't remember. I'm back to be part of this group, not just to share, but also for what I get from this group. I know I'm always putting up videos here, but I really want to acknowledge all of the people that put so much great, powerful content into this group. Hey, Jen, good morning. Jen always puts wonderful content up. My brother, Nicholas T. Smith, Giant of Giants, had a beautiful post this morning, about geodes in the desert. So see if you can find that one. That was awesome. So first full week in Arizona. My sinuses are adjusting. Got some hand lotion going, right? You don't need the hand lotion in Florida, but you need it in Arizona for sure. Man, really enjoying it here. So much stuff I could talk about, but what I want to start off with is acknowledging a couple people in the context of being commitment, getting committed, shifting to a state of being called commitment. So a little bit of context. About a little over a month ago, one of the members of my community called me up and said, hey, I saw an article last night where Adidas is pulling out of Russia. They're shutting all their Russian retail stores. Now, he's Ukrainian, this guy. He said, you know, us Slavs love our tracksuits. I thought it'd be really cool, and he knows I love Adidas. And, right? He said, I want to commit to buying 100 PFC tracksuits and getting them to Ukrainian refugees. I want to commit to purchasing 100 PFC tracksuits that will end up on some of these refugees because that's what they could really use right now. Hey, Michael, good morning. I said, wow, that's amazing. I never even thought of that. Let's do it. I said, and I'll make it 1,000. I'll go find another set of folks, get that number up to 1,000. That'll be really fun. So he got committed. I got committed to, we're going to do this, 1,000 tracksuits. I have no idea how to even buy 1,000 tracksuits, if it's even possible, or didn't then. Much less how we'd get them there and all these challenges that would come up. One of the things that Steve has shared with me, which is just incredibly powerful, is commitment. The game of commitment, creating from a state of being called commitment, is played past what you know you can do, but not farther than what you know you can't do, right? This idea of I'm committed to something that I have a plan for and I know how to do it. Well, you don't actually need commitment for it. You got a plan, just go for it. Just take the action. Commitment as a state of being that has the power to call in miracles is only relevant past what you know you can do. I have no idea how to procure 1,000 tracksuits, much less how to get them where they would go. That fits the criteria, but not farther than what you know you can't do. Well, I know it's not doable. I know it's doable, so perfect. I'm committed to it. I started taking action, started enrolling people. Another member of my community, an incredible powerhouse of a man, Sam Hoyt, who I hope you guys have seen here, took all sorts of action. He got committed to helping out. He was making calls into Adidas, calling at the highest levels, called the CEO's office a bunch of times, did so much incredible action from his commitment to supporting this. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. It was only last week. It wasn't this week, but last week. I was en route from Florida to Arizona here, and Rich Habitz and I were in some sort of a WhatsApp dialogue about something. I don't remember what it was. We were going back and forth. And he says, is there anything I can do for you? And he's asked before, and I've always said, no, I'm good. Something showed up to say, well, actually, I'm looking to figure out how to get 1,000 tracksuits for Ukrainian refugees. He says, well, tell me a little more about that. So I did. Told him what I just told you guys. He said, cool, I'm on it. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Rich is a powerhouse, man. I think he's in Greece right now on vacation or something, but that guy is something special. From his commitment, inspired by my commitment, inspired by Sam's commitment to my commitment, he started making some calls. Now, hey, Mama, good morning. I'll skip a lot of the details, but tell you what's really relevant. Rich has a neighbor, I think it is, who runs it's the equivalent of Foot Locker in Belgium. He called him and said, hey, we're trying to do this. How would we do this? He goes, oh, let me call my rep. Long story short, I'm on the phone as we're leaving El Paso last Friday it was, with the senior Adidas rep for this outfit that's sort of like Foot Locker in the United States, a big retailer. And he's breaking it all down how it works for me, like how we would do this. He's committed to being part of this. He's going to sell the tracksuits to the guy that runs the store. The guy that runs the store is going to sell them to me. Because as it turns out, there's no way possible for me to buy tracksuits from Adidas. Like, here's what I really want you to hear. I could have sat around for a year trying to figure out and think about who would I need to call and what would I need to do. I would have never figured out how to get this done, ever thinking about it. It could have sat there for 10 years. Trust me, I know a lot about sales, selling, distribution, how companies work, blah, blah, blah. There was no possible way for me to figure this out. It wasn't figure-outable from the thinking, but from the state of being called I'm committed to it, getting into action, lots of stuff going on. Sam must have made 100 calls to different people, talking to me about it, back and forth, talk to this guy, we'll try this. One little thing, an innocuous request to an incredible man, Rich Habitz, or Habitz. I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. I'm gonna sort that out, and I'll rectify that. One little mention, he got committed. What happened there? Well, what I'll tell you I believe happened there is the universe, consciousness, God, put whatever you want in there, acknowledged the commitment that lots of people were creating with and said, okay, I like that. Let me help you out here. And literally, it was like one call from Rich and ... But it wasn't like we thought about it for a year and made a single call. It was like we got committed and started taking action, and things started unfolding. As I like to say, the road builds itself. And one of the important things about creating from a state of being called commitment is not getting attached to what happens or even how it happens. Like I said, I would have never figured this out in a million years. And not only has this sorted out how are we going to get tracksuits, as many as we want, how are we going to get them printed, how are we going to get them shipped, like this just solved so many problems. It actually created a whole bunch of opportunities for me and the PFC movement and the tracksuits I want to produce and all sorts of other stuff that hasn't even been talked about yet. But I'm like, oh, I could have PFC tracksuits anywhere, right? I could do this. Pink ones. Yes, Jen, pink ones. Like, no problem. It's fascinating. So, a credible acknowledgement to Sam Hoyt, Rich Habitz, all the people that have contributed. And now the next challenge is, where are the refugees? How are we going to get it to them? How are we going to ship it to them? How are we going to make sure they don't get stolen? Blah, blah, blah. But that all gets sorted out. I'm taking action. Yesterday on one of my group calls, I'm like, hey, here's where we're at. Anybody knows something, let me know. Somebody's like, hey, I got a way I can help you. Let's do it. So the lesson here, creating commitment, shifting to a state of being, I'm going to create from a state of being called commitment, will produce miracles. Hey, good morning, Tyrone. But only from that state of being called commitment, detached from the outcome, not attached to how it works out, and taking action, not sitting there, coming up with the plan to beat all plans. I'll share one more story that relates to commitment and creating from commitment, because to me, this is where it's at, right? I like to say I don't need a plan, I've got commitment. My intention in life is to create as much from commitment everywhere as possible, not with a plan, but from commitment. Now, the extreme end of that, and this may twist some of your minds a little bit, or you might have an issue with this. Hey, good morning, Gabby. To the extreme end, creating with commitment produces miracles such that I speak a commitment and it occurs instantly. Right? That would be the ultimate expression of creating from a stating being called commitment. I'm committed to it and it occurs instantly. Now, that's not how my life works. A lot of things work that way. I'm getting pretty good at parking spots. Right? If I get committed to creating a parking spot, they appear pretty quickly. Tyrone, I love it. Hit me up in the messenger. You see, you talk about it, create with it, it happens. Tyrone, shoot me a messenger thingy and we'll get connected, or I'll do the same for you. Either way, I appreciate your help. So I'm always looking for what can I get committed to such that I can start creating with it for fun, as a game, to create, not that it matters. So I had a call, I want to say, it was Wednesday. Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you for your generous offer. I had a call with one of my one-on-one clients on Wednesday, and it was hours 40 and 41 of our 48-hour agreement. No, it was hours 38 and 39 of our 40-hour agreement. So I was coming to this conversation knowing we have 8 hours left on our current agreement. I got committed to the next 8 hours are going to be the most powerful, transformational 8 hours of our entire relationship. Before I even got on the call with them, I created that as a commitment. From that commitment, what showed up to do during the call? This wasn't a plan. I hadn't planned this. I don't plan my calls with my clients. I get committed to something and I show up and I create. So what got created from that commitment was, as we're talking, I said, hey, I got an idea. I got something I want to get you committed to. What I want you to get committed to is what we're going to do with the next 8 hours of our time together. And he goes, oh, that sounds exciting. I said, so here's the deal. We got 8 more hours left. It's been an incredible time together. You know, usually this is when a coach would be talking about re-upping, right? We're gonna re-up next year. And as he knows, what he paid me last year was $60,000 for 48 hours. This year, at this point, it's $100,000 for 50 hours to work with me, paid in full up front. So he knows that. I said, as you know that, that's what it would cost. Now, remember I said most coaches would be focused on, okay, am I going to re-up this guy, what have you. But from the commitment, this is going to be the most extraordinary next 8 hours of our relationship. Something totally crazy showed up. I could have never thought of it. I said, here's the deal. I want to get you committed to the next 8 hours together are so powerful. Morning, Brian. Good to see you, brother. The next 8 hours are so powerful, so transformational, and so valuable. Number one, you won't need to renew with me, but you're going to write me a $100,000 check as a tip for my services in the last year. Came up with it. You should have seen his face. It was hilarious. Know that suggestion of that commitment created a lot of discomfort. More discomfort than if I was trying to re-up him and started talking about, $100,000 for the next year, which is what was supposed to happen. So, maybe you've heard me say this, maybe you haven't. Commitment is a game. Creating from commitment is a game played such that we can produce thinking, ideas, and thoughts from that commitment that would not have been produced otherwise. So, trying to come up with ideas not in a state of commitment will be different than the ideas you'll produce from a state of commitment. That's true like in the Adidas thing I was telling you, right? The ideas we came up with would have never materialized outside the state of a commitment. So it is with this idea of I want to get you committed to, well, good morning, Mr. Lawholm. You are incredible. I think I acknowledged you earlier. If not, that wasn't my intention. What I was saying earlier, I'm going to go back to this since you're here, is I haven't been on Facebook in a decade. The only reason I'm back on Facebook is to be part of this group. And the only reason this group exists is because of that guy down there. So anyway, here I am with my client, not talking about re-upping him next year, talking about we're going to create something in the last 8 hours of our relationship that are so powerful, so inspiring, so transformational, so valuable. You don't want to re-up with me, but you're going to write me a check for $100,000 as a tip. I said, all right, man, tell me what's going on for you. Let's look at the thinking that's being produced from this idea. I said, you ready to get committed? He goes, well, no. I said, cool. Give me your thinking. We used being and shifting being on that thinking. We used the thinking that was produced to shift his being. I wasn't trying to get him to committed to this idea. I was producing it as an invitation. Whatever happens, I'm okay with it. I was committed to it because I knew what it would produce from me, what it would produce from him. Good morning, Penny. What we could create in the next 8 hours if we got committed to it, not to get the $100,000 tip. Right? You see, the thing about commitment is it's played at the intersection of certainty, right? This will happen because I said it's going to happen, and non-attachment. Man, those birds are loud. So the idea of we're going to play a game called I'm committed to the next 8 hours is going to be so powerful. You're going to write me a $100,000 check. Joe, mahalo, good morning. You're going to write me $100,000 as a tip. The idea of getting committed to that would create so much fun in the next 8 weeks. 8 hours, sorry. The birds are really going off. They must love this. They must be excited. Maybe they had their coffee. We had to do 2 or 3 rounds of being shift work just for him to get kind of the noise of the thinking that had been produced by the suggestion, good morning, Steve, of this commitment. So once we got all that settled, I said, all right, you're on your center point. Do you want to get committed to this? Yes, no, or I don't know. He goes, yes, right? It was just the natural reaction. I wasn't trying to coerce him. I said, awesome, let's hear it, right? We create our commitments with our word. We create our commitments with the speaking of it, with the writing of it, with the sharing of it. So he got committed to it with me. I said, great, now you're going to go tell your wife you're committed to this, right? She's going to look at you like, are you nuts? Right? You're going to want to talk to her about creating with commitment, creating from a state of being called commitment. What that means, it's not about the $100,000. It's not, I'm not trying to shake him down for $100,000. We're playing a game called he's going to write me $100,000 as a tip. And if he doesn't, that's okay too. Whatever he gets out of it. But it's what would be created from that by just going way out there, right? Remember, commitment is played past what you know you can do. I don't know how in the next 8 hours I'm going to create something so powerful, how we're going to create something so powerful. He'll want to write me a $100,000 check. But I know it's not doable. So perfect. That's where commitment lives. So I said, great. Now we're committed. He's committed. I'm committed to this idea. Let's get cracking. What ideas we got? What could we create in the next 8 hours, right? Like what would be so valuable? I said, how about this? How about you win $1 million in the lottery? Write that down, right? If we can get the universe to produce $1 million for you through a lottery ticket, I'd call that our work together. You could go to the casino there where you're hanging out in Tenerife or wherever he was, and you could win the jackpot. That would be worth the tip. When he goes, yeah, I said, cool, let's keep going. Okay, well, you get a promotion, you double your salary. We just start coming with these ideas, produced and generated from the state of being called committed, right? You see, most people want to have all the ideas and then get committed. Well, that gives you a little stingy, cheesy, crappy list of ideas. Getting committed to something that's past what you know you can do, but not farther than you know you can't do it. Well, all of a sudden, these ideas start coming in you wouldn't have thought of. One of my ideas was, hey, why don't you go talk to your wife and your kids? What would they think is so valuable? Where they would say, write them a check, right? Go talk to your wife about this. Use it to play. Right now, for those of you going, man, this guy's really manipulating him to get the $100,000. No, that's not what this is about. The conversation that he's going to have with his wife about what they can create, frankly, that would be worth $100,000, but that's not the point. Hey, Ben, good morning. Yes, Commitment is where the miracles occur. So you got to get committed for them to start being produced. So we ended the call and we had like 7 or 8 ideas. And I'm like, well, that's a really short list. I said, listen, dude, your assignment is simple. In the next week, 30. Go get 30 ideas. He's like, how am I going to do that? I said, don't worry about it. Talk to your wife. That'll come up with 5 or 10. What about your kids? I think his kids are 10 and 12. Go talk to them about this. Now, you don't need to tell them it's about a $100,000 tip for me. That'd be confusing, but enroll them in this idea. You're trying to create something. They know you've been coaching with me. That would be so powerful that, it'd be worth a lot to you guys. And what ideas? I got to run to a call, so I'll end this and let you know. I got a text from him like an hour and a half later. Hour and a half. He goes, I just finished sitting down with my kids. We came up with 20 ideas. Just us. I said, yeah. Isn't that beautiful? But only from who you're being. Only from shifting into a state of being called I'm committed to creating something that's more than I know how to do, but less than I don't. Sorry, more than I know how to do, but less than I know I can't do. J. Money Middleton. We're talking about commitment and miracles. May have to go back and watch the video later. All right, y'all. Have an amazing day. Enjoy your weekend. I love you. Have an amazing day.